Hi, everybody. This is Ronnie Smith in Mableton, Georgia. I just had the pleasure of watching this movie, Imitation of Life, for the very first time in my life. And I mean, it was a powerful movie. Everyone who said definitely you want to see this movie, I totally agree with you now. I see why it was, I guess, just pulls on the heartstrings. I found this. This is actually the dual two movie version. I found it on Amazon, the 1934 version as well as the 1959. The version I just watched was actually the 1959. I have not watched the 1934 version yet. And I guess the clip that was on Facebook, near the end was very powerful within itself, but seeing the whole movie made that even more powerful. And it was really, I think my biggest takeaway is how relevant this movie still is today. Here we are in America, here we are, in the world, and those same issues are the same issues being discussed day by day, even in this presidential campaign. And to see that certain issues have always been there. And I mean, one of the, I guess, things that I did observe in the movie was the signs were already there in this young girl. Uh, it should not have been a surprise to anyone. I mean, from her very earliest scenes in the movie, you saw that there was a need, a hole or a space that wasn't filled at all. And then we saw actually two single moms. In the presence of these two single moms, they were doing everything they could for their daughters, and I guess why the fathers were not in the picture. But then we saw the other girl. I'm still kind of rocky in terms of the names of all the characters, but Sandra Dee's character, her transfer of not having a father and how that played out later on was so powerful. And no surprise. It should not have been a surprise to anyone, but it was, and it was just. I mean, my heart is really just as much breaking was broke for her, as much as the Sarah Jane, Susie was the character. I mean, we see these things, and you can also see it in Jenny and Forrest Gump, and it's just like, wow, the breakdown of a family. I mean, you just can't repair that in a single generation. It does take time, and so all of us have to do things to stand in the gap for families. Families we know, as well as those that we say that we love and who are around us every day. Everybody, I definitely appreciate the recommendation. I think what really, when Mahalia Jackson started singing right after, you know, Annie's going home to be with the Lord, it was just like that's when the bottom fell out. I mean, that's Mahalia Jackson. I'm a brand new fan all over again of Mahalia Jackson. I'm definitely going to go see and find her recordings, because her voice, her power, her passion, the anointing that was on her life. I mean, we still take for granted. And I was born in '65, and I was alive, and I remember when I think she passed maybe around the early '70s, maybe '73, '74. Uh, and I remember distinctly that she sang at the funeral of Louis Armstrong. And so I do remember that much. And so it's just like, wow, she's an American, a worldwide treasure within herself. And so this movie is definitely one you got to see. Men, women, allow your children to see it, because at the same time, there is this thing about identity. not just racial identity, but ethnic identity, who you are, gender identity. This movie addressed so many things in so many different ways, and to know that there were two versions, a 1934 version, a 1959 version, and then immediately I thought, well, if it was made today, would it end the same way? Would there be, any critical changes that would be there? And no, it was literally still, it was timeless. It was that timeless. The wardrobe and the costumes of the characters was a era that, wow, if we could ever get that back, the style, the class. I was watching the guys' suits, clothes, I mean, material, the fabric. I mean, it was just like we have lost a lot over time. I mean, we have some new technology and everything, but in terms of quality, not just in terms of family, I mean, a whole lot of things we have just lost, and we will never fully understand how, I mean, just how the old school did it. I mean, yes, we as a country have a lot to, not necessarily move beyond, get over, but just to come to terms with, and just to understand that some things, I mean, the struggle has been there forever. Different people are going through different things, and I don't know what celebrities have seen this movie, but then at the same time, it really should be required viewing, pretty much in as early as junior high. I mean, middle school, sixth grade on, definitely should be able to required to see this movie and just come to terms. I mean, America, we need some therapy. I mean, the whole nation needs therapy. The whole nation is in need of prayer. And then when you see something like this, that was such a strong and powerful performance, you just wonder, like, wow, what is taking us so long to get there and to get that therapy? The other story of the family, the mother, her career, her acting and drama career, it was just as loud and speaking volumes as anything else. So I'm a fan of the movie. I'm a fan of the movie because there, you know, even as a songwriter, there are a lot of lines within this movie that would make titles, would make themes for songs across the whole emotional spectrum. And seeing and hearing those lines spoken, this the movie, the book was well written. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan. There's no way to get over it. You you know, it is something I want. I mean, it's like, wow. I wasn't bawling like I thought I was going to be, and then I thought, I think I know where this train or this roller coaster is going, and even though you did to a degree, it still had the emotional punch that you really could not anticipate. And but when it got to that final scene, that right before it fade to black, it was just like, okay, that's it. But then you realize that's all that was needed. It didn't need to go any further. There was nothing left to be said. There was no need for any aftermath. Where are they now? How does this play out? No, none of that was needed. It delivered the punch that it needed to, and the story is timeless. The story is powerful. I mean, I don't know so much of a transforming story, but it's one that will stay with you forever. It does shape things that you see every day, things that you sometimes take for granted, and especially it speaks to the need for strong families, not just functional, not dysfunctional, but the need for strong families. So again, thanks everybody for your recommendation. I'm going to see the 1934 version at some point, but thank you for your time, and Again, this is Ronnie Smith. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie Imitation of Life, and so this is my review. Have a great day and be blessed. Goodbye.